It's a beautiful day out. The sun is a blinding vermilion, bathing the sky in a bright cherry red. Gen peers out the round porthole for a moment before stepping into an airlock of her residential skybreaker and stretching out her arms. With a whoosh, her safe suit is fitted and clamped around her. The outer gates slide open and Gen strolls along the raised metal path. She crosses the slipstream over the lava canal, and she marvels at how the energy of the world would be deadly without her safe suit. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she imagines the foreign concept of heat. Stifling stickiness, it tingles and wraps around her body. She can almost barely feel the moisture of sweat on her neck. It is so realistic, it could have been a memory. The wide gray trunk of the majestic baobab tree stretched high into the blue sky on the African savanna. Its small branches stretched out like roots, making the tree look upside down. Big, pinkish-white puffs of crinkled petals dangled from the blooms of green, almond-shaped leaves. It could store over 100,000 liters of water within its strong, fire-resistant bark. In its hollows, a hive of African honeybees found sanctuary. It drifted gently among its flowers. Animals chewed the water-filled wood during the long droughts and ate its nutritious fruit and leaves. It was ancient, hundreds of years old, and a survivor. It survived the droughts of the savannah and the fires of the grasses. The baobab tree was wise, and it knew that one day...
My name is Timothy.
What type of tree would you plant?
There's this one type of tree called the baobab tree. It grows in like Africa and Australia, and it's just a really cool tree because it looks incredibly weird. It's like imagine a tree that has an incredibly thick trunk and like comically small leaves at the top.
No, she's being silly. It isn't real. The suits perfectly regulate body temperature. Gen takes a deep breath and keeps walking down, down, down. The cluster is eerily quiet, and the sleek black skybreakers show no sign of the millions of people inside. It's a striking scene, the thin lines of reflective black against the red skies and ruddy clay-colored clouds. Gen tries to ignore the weight of the stowaway object hidden in her inner suit. Only a few lonely stragglers remain on the expansive network of walkways and slipstreams, crisscrossing in layers over the lava canals and around the bases of the skybreakers. And behind the elegant rows of skybreakers, there is the lab. It is an ugly, stumpy building. No one ever really pays attention to the lab. It is the perfect place. Gen glances around. She flips over the edge of the walkway, fighting the protective air bubble that pushes back against her. She drops down, down, down onto the metal surface of the earth, feeling the impact as she stumbles onto her knees and hands. She steadies herself, climbs to her feet, and glances quickly around. It is desolate here. Behind her, lava flows in its carved-out channels. Above her are the floating platforms of the skybreakers and the walkways webbing out from them. It is dangerous here. A place meant for the most relentless of forces and the most dangerous of people. Gen runs, thinking about the world above her, oblivious to the tiny person sprinting so close to the real ground, and thinking about the pounding lava, flowing like a river of water from ancient times. The cascading limbs of the weeping willow drooped over a shady river bank in northern China. The tips of its slender elliptical leaves grazed the clear water, rippling its reflective surface. The wind rocked the boughs gently, stirring the songbirds that nested there. Squirrels and small animals pitter-pattered around it, coming home to their own nests in the cavity of the trunk. And the willow wept quietly, knowing that one day... I'm Lily. If you could plant any tree, what type of tree would you plant?
I'd probably plant a palm tree in my backyard because they remind me of Hawaii. I went on a vacation to Hawaii once and it was super fun.
Gen is tired. Her muscles ache, but the suit detects her exertion and increases oxygen flow. Finally, she reaches the area beneath the lab. She stares up at the gray platform waiting for the lift cable. Gen is grateful that the suit she'd chosen was the same sleek gray of the metal ground plates. She's hidden, She thinks about the ancient times when the ground was naked, an unregulated mess of dirt and water. Sora had shown her that in ancient times there were other things that lived and breathed and thought on Earth. She wonders if it could have been beautiful at all. She wonders what colors that world would have. She sees a flash of yellow.
My name is Ying.
If you could plant any tree, what type of tree would you plant?
A ginkgo tree. It's the type of tree that has the little fan-shaped leaves, and the leaves turn a beautiful yellow color in the fall. I remember when I was in college, they had many ginkgo trees lining the street, and in the fall, all the leaves turn yellow, and when the wind blows, the tree leaves just fall down and turns around like little butterflies, and all the yellow leaves on the street. It's stunning.
Gen watches as the yellow hook connected to the lift cable descends quickly in front of her. She attaches it to a loop on her suit and clings to the cable as it begins to rise, staring up at the open trapdoor at the bottom of the platform. A willowy, silver-haired woman with a dangerous mind and equally dangerous suit malfunction gun is waiting for her. Sora. Sora glances at Gen, then smiles. She motions for Gen to go up into the heart of the lab. Gen climbs the steps into the false upper platform, removing her safe suit in the airlock. The entrance has clinical white walls and floors and ceilings that blend together. She follows the maze into the heart of the lab. It has a gentle tan interior and swooping high arches and stenciled lines. Shelves and shelves and shelves of carefully organized disks and memory sticks and hard drives fill the space. Rows of the desks where members of the resistance scour the information, where they infiltrate the governing programs, where they check for those who will be removed. Sora appears at her side. Gen quickly turns aside and unzips the hidden pocket in her inner suit. She gently pulls out a small clump, clumsily wrapped with fabric. Sora pauses, wrinkles lining her forehead. Finally, she reaches out and unwraps the fabric. A round metal capsule lies in Gen's gloved palm, the sole possession remaining after the removal of her neighbor, Mr. Austin. It had been stupid to grab the capsule as it rolled lazily across the corridor, but after she'd done it, there'd been no going back. Sora's fingers draw back in surprise. Trembling, she takes the object and rushes to an ancient machine sitting against the wall. Sora drops the capsule inside and presses button after button after button. The machine begins to vibrate as it analyzes the contents. The people in the lab cluster around it. They wait in the thick silence of apprehension. Gen feels fear and excitement rise in her stomach, and she imagines this is what hunger is like. She is not used to hunger, not when the food packets are always available. But she wonders about a time when hunger was satiated with other living things and not the packets.
I'm Stanley. I'm 7 years old. Plant a pear tree
Why would you plant a pear tree?
so I could eat pears because they taste good.
Do you have any good memories about pears?
Yeah, I ate a pear.
I'm Ourania. I would plant a cherry tree because, one, I love cherries. Whenever it's cherry season, I just eat whole packets, like, in one sitting, and it would be nice to have my own little, like, cherry factory.
I'd like to plant a oak tree in the field of where I went to kindergarten. There was an oak tree there, and we noticed the tree smelled like graham crackers. And having a nice big tree to sit under at recess is just something that I like.
The sound of the machine startles Gen. The crowd strains to see the tiny lighted screen. Suddenly, on its flashing screen, pictures appear. Of trees. The beautiful giants of the ancient world, like those that are only described in the bits and pieces of the most ancient memory sticks. They flash on the screen. Sora is crying silently. Gen feels the hope and memory and light. She mourns the loss and oblivion. Gen will not let the world forget. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It was written and edited by Grace Deng, and special thanks to our interviewees. Additional sound effects were from www.zapsplat.com.